Assassin's Creed Shadows turned out better than I expected. It's about on par with Valhalla, with a lot of similarities in structure and gameplay. There are some concerns about historical accuracy, particularly with character designs that feel influenced by modern DEI trends. It also has a common issue in modern games where everyone is a bit too nice, characters rarely argue or have real disagreements, which can be annoying, but thankfully it's not too noticeable for most of the game. Stealth in Shadows is solid, better than Star Wars Outlaws. You feel well hidden, but enemies will notice you if you get too close or make too much noise, adding a good balance of challenge. There's also a harder sneaking mode for those who want more difficulty, which is a nice touch. The soundtrack has some strange choices early on. Some tracks feel more Pulp Fiction than feudal Japan, which can break immersion. However, this is mainly an issue in the first few hours. After that, the music improves and fits the setting better. Performance on Xbox is excellent. The only place where I noticed any issues was the hideout, where frame drops are common. Outside of that, the open world runs perfectly. I've had no frame drops or bugs at all in the game. Speaking of the world, Shadows looks fantastic. The landscape, towns and cities are beautifully detailed, and the dynamic seasons make every visit feel different. Sunrises and sunsets and constant weather changes make the world feel alive. One small issue is that you can't change the time of day in this game. If it's nighttime, you're stuck with it. However, I did like how the seasons change automatically when you fast travel, especially when winter arrives, covering everything in snow. The open world is massive like most Ubisoft games, but it suffers from the usual problems, too much space with not enough to find. If you take away supplies from your hideout and your armor upgrades, most locations are pretty empty. Supplies are also easier to get by doing contracts, for example, so exploration doesn't feel as rewarding as it should. However, one thing that the game does have plenty of is assassinations. There are around 100 targets spread across the main and side missions, which keep things engaging. The hideout system lets you build your own structure, but it didn't really add much for me. It seems like it exists just to give the world more loot. I barely returned to it unless I had to. I preferred the Valhalla system where you build a small town instead of having complete freedom to create a settlement I had no reason to use. The story is actually pretty good, the cutscenes are a highlight and the characters are mostly enjoyable. However, Naoi's storyline is much better than Yasuke's. In fact, Yasuke at times can feel a bit unnecessary. He doesn't add much, and since he can't parkour, he's useless for exploration. You spend most of the game playing as Naoi anyway, and she has the more interesting story. At times, Yasuke feels like an afterthought, and the game might have been better if it focused entirely on Naoi. Ultimately, Assassin's Creed Shadow is a fun game. It has issues, particularly with historical authenticity in the main characters, but the world itself doesn't have that problem. Open world emptiness and Yasuke's weak role are also issues, but it's still an Assassin's Creed experience set in feudal Japan, and that alone makes it enjoyable. If you like Valhalla, you'll probably enjoy this too.